The text message from my sister came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was folding laundry. Thanks for letting Emma come to Mom's party this weekend. The kids are going to have so much fun together. I stared at the message, confused. What party? Emma was my 7-year-old daughter, and I hadn't heard anything about a party at my mother's house. I called my sister immediately. Hey, I said when she picked up, what's this about a party at Mom's this weekend? Oh, Katie said, her voice suddenly uncertain, the grandkids' party. For all the grandchildren, I thought you knew. My stomach dropped. I don't know anything about a party. When is it? There was a long pause. Saturday afternoon. Mom sent out invitations last week. She said she wanted to have all the grandkids over for games and cake. All the grandkids. My mother has 7 grandchildren. Katie's 3 kids, our brother Mark's 2 children, and our sister Julie's twin boys, and Emma. That made 7. Katie, I said slowly, I never got an invitation. Emma doesn't know anything about a party. The silence stretched between us. Maybe it got lost in the mail, she finally suggested, but her voice didn't carry much conviction. Did Mom give you the invitation directly, or did it come in the mail? Another pause. She gave it to me directly when I stopped by last week. And Mark and Julie. I think she gave theirs to them directly too. So my mother had personally handed out invitations to all her children for a grandchildren's party, except me. She'd specifically excluded Emma from a celebration designed for all the grandkids. My name is Rachel, and until that phone call, I thought my mother's favoritism was subtle enough that it didn't really hurt anyone. I knew she liked Katie's kids more than Emma, knew she spent more time with Mark's children, knew she lit up differently when Julie's twins were around. But I'd convinced myself it was just personality differences, just natural variations in grandparent-grandchild relationships. I was wrong. This wasn't subtle favoritism. This was deliberate exclusion. After I hung up with Katie, I sat in my laundry room trying to process what I'd learned. My mother had planned a party specifically for grandchildren and had intentionally left out my daughter. Not because of scheduling conflicts, not because of space limitations, not because of any practical reason. She'd simply decided that Emma didn't deserve to be included. I thought about Emma, who was at school right now, completely unaware that her grandmother was hosting a party for all her cousins while deliberately excluding her. Emma, who still talked excitedly about her grandmother's visits, who drew pictures for her, who always asked when they could spend more time together. Emma, who would be devastated when she found out. I called my mother. "Hi, honey," she said when she answered, her voice bright and cheerful. "Mom," I said, trying to keep my voice level, "Katie mentioned a party this weekend for the grandkids." "Oh yes," she said enthusiastically, "it's going to be wonderful. I'm planning games and a treasure hunt, and I ordered a special cake from that bakery the kids love." "It sounds great," I said. "What time should I bring Emma?" The silence was deafening. "Oh," my mother said finally, her voice suddenly different. "I thought Katie told you. It's just for the older kids this time. Emma might not fit in as well." Fit in as well. My 7-year-old daughter, who played beautifully with all her cousins, who was sweet and kind and eager to please, wouldn't fit in at a party with kids ranging in age from 5 to 12. "Mom," I said carefully, "Emma is 7. That's right in the middle of the age range. Why wouldn't she fit in?" Another pause. "Well, you know how she can be sometimes. A little different. I just thought it might be easier for everyone if we kept it to the other kids this time." Different. My mother thought my daughter was too different to include in a family celebration. Different how? I asked, though I was starting to suspect I knew the answer. "Oh, you know," my mother said vaguely, "just different." But I did know. I knew exactly what my mother meant by different, even if she was too cowardly to say it directly. Emma is biracial. Her father, my ex-husband David, is black. Emma has beautiful dark skin, curly hair, and features that clearly reflect her mixed heritage. She's also the only grandchild in our family who isn't white. My mother had excluded my daughter from a family party because of her race. "Mom," I said, my voice getting harder, "are you excluding Emma because she's biracial?" "Of course not," my mother said quickly, but her denial sounded hollow. "I would never. It's not about that. She's just, the other kids have more in common." More in common, 7 children between the ages of 5 and 12, all cousins, all family, but somehow my daughter was the one who didn't have enough in common with the others to deserve an invitation. "What do they have in common that Emma doesn't?" I pressed. "Rachel, don't make this into something it's not. I just thought it would be easier this time." Easier? It would be easier to exclude my daughter than to include her in a family celebration. I hung up without saying goodbye. That evening I had to tell Emma about the party. She was sitting at the kitchen table doing homework when I sat down beside her. Emma, I said gently, I found out today that Grandma is having a party this weekend for your cousins. Her face lit up immediately. A party? Can I go? What kind of party? My heart broke watching her excitement. Sweetheart, Grandma didn't invite you to this party. It's just for the other kids. The light in her eyes dimmed. Why not? I don't know, babies. I think Grandma made a mistake. Emma was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. Maybe she forgot about me. Maybe, I said, though I knew that wasn't true. Can you call her and remind her? I love parties. And I miss my cousins. I pulled Emma into my lap, holding her close. I'll see what I can do. But I knew there was nothing to do. My mother hadn't forgotten about Emma. She deliberately excluded her, and no amount of reminding was going to change her mind. That night, after Emma went to bed, I started making phone calls. I called Katie first. Did you know Emma wasn't invited to Mom's party? I figured there was some kind of mix-up, Katie said uncomfortably. Maybe scheduling conflict or something. There's no scheduling conflict. Mom told me Emma wouldn't fit in because she's different. She said that. There was a long pause. Rachel, that's not okay. No, it's not okay, and I need to know. Are you going to let your kids go to a party that deliberately excludes their cousin? Another pause. I don't know. The kids are so excited. Your kids are excited to go to a party that Emma can't come to because Grandma thinks she's too different. When you put it like that, that's exactly how it is, Katie. That's exactly what this is. I called Mark next. His response was more direct. That's fucked up, he said bluntly. Emma's a great kid. If Mom doesn't want her there, then my kids aren't going either. Julie was the hardest call because she's always been closest to my mother. But when I explained the situation, she was quiet for a long time. I've noticed, she said finally, that Mom treats Emma differently. I thought I was imagining it. You weren't imagining it. The twins ask about Emma all the time. They don't understand why they don't see her at family things as much as they see Katie's kids. Because Grandma doesn't invite her to family things. That stops now, Julie said firmly. If Emma can't come to the party, then my boys aren't going either. By Thursday evening, my mother's grand party for all the grandchildren had no grandchildren attending. Katie, Mark, and Julie had all decided their kids wouldn't go to a celebration that excluded their cousin. My mother called Thursday night furious. What have you done? She demanded. You've ruined everything. The kids were so excited for this party. I told my siblings the truth, I said calmly, that you excluded Emma because you think she's too different to fit in with her own cousins. That's not what I said. That's exactly what you said. You said she wouldn't fit in because she's different. And when I asked you to clarify what you meant by different, you couldn't give me an answer that wasn't racist. I am not racist, my mother said indignantly. How dare you accuse me of that? Then explain to me why Emma is the only grandchild who doesn't fit in at a party for grandchildren. She couldn't because there was no explanation that didn't come down to the fact that Emma looks different from the other kids, and my mother was uncomfortable with that difference. You've turned everyone against me, she said instead. I've told everyone the truth. If that turned them against you, maybe you should think about why. The party was canceled. My mother spent Saturday afternoon alone in her house, surrounded by decorations for a celebration that no one attended, but I wasn't done. Sunday morning, I sat down at my computer and wrote a letter. Not to my mother, but to our entire extended family. Aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends who'd known us for years. I told them exactly what had happened, how my mother had planned a party for all her grandchildren except one, how she'd excluded Emma because she was different, how she'd been unwilling to explain what she meant by that in any way that wasn't racially motivated. I sent the letter to 43 people. The response was swift and unanimous. By Tuesday, my mother had received calls from her sisters expressing their disappointment. Her brother sent her a strongly worded email about the values their parents had taught them. Family friends started asking pointed questions about why they hadn't seen Emma at recent family gatherings. My mother's best friend, a woman who'd known our family for 30 years, called me directly. I had no idea, she said. I've always wondered why Emma wasn't at things as much as the other kids, but I assumed there were scheduling conflicts. There were no scheduling conflicts. This explains so much. The way your mother talks about the other grandchildren versus how she talks about Emma. I thought I was reading too much into it. You weren't. Rachel, I want you to know that this doesn't reflect the values I thought your mother had. And it doesn't reflect the values I have. Emma is always welcome in my home at any gathering I host. Similar conversations happened all week. People who'd noticed the pattern but hadn't wanted to believe it was intentional suddenly understood what had been happening. People who'd trusted my mother's explanations for Emma's absence from family events realized they'd been complicit in exclusion they would never have tolerated if they'd understood it clearly. My mother tried to do damage control. She called family members claiming I was being dramatic, that there had been a misunderstanding, that she'd never meant to exclude Emma. But the explanations rang hollow because she couldn't provide any reasonable justification for why Emma had been the only grandchild not invited to a grandchildren's party. 2 weeks later, my mother showed up at my house unannounced. "We need to talk," she said when I opened the door. "About what?" "About fixing this, about moving forward." I let her in, but I didn't offer her coffee or invite her to sit down. "Emma's been asking about you," I said. "She wants to know why Grandma doesn't want to see her anymore." "I never said I didn't want to see her. You excluded her from a family party because she's different. What else was she supposed to think?" My mother looked uncomfortable. "I made a mistake." "What kind of mistake?" "I should have invited her." "Why didn't you?" She couldn't answer or wouldn't answer. Because the honest answer was that she was uncomfortable with Emma's race, and admitting that would mean admitting something about herself that she didn't want to face. "Mom," I said, "I need you to understand something. Emma is my daughter. She's your granddaughter. She's part of this family, whether you're comfortable with that or not. But if you can't treat her the same way you treat the other kids, then you don't get to be part of her life. You can't keep me from seeing my granddaughter." "I'm not keeping you from anything. I'm telling you what the requirements are for being in her life. You treat her equally, or you don't get to treat her at all." "That's not fair." "What's not fair is excluding a 7-year-old from a family party because you don't like the color of her skin." "It's not about that." "Then what is it about?" Again, silence. Because we both knew what it was about, even if she wouldn't say it. My mother left without resolving anything. She never apologized to Emma, never acknowledged what she'd done wrong, never made any effort to repair the relationship she'd damaged. Instead, she doubled down. She started hosting smaller gatherings that included some grandchildren but not others, always with explanations that sounded reasonable on the surface but consistently resulted in Emma being excluded. She'd invite Katie's kids for sleepovers but say she didn't have room for Emma. She'd take Mark's children on special outings but claim Emma was too young or wouldn't be interested. She'd buy thoughtful, expensive gifts for the other grandchildren's birthdays but give Emma generic cards with $20. The pattern was clear to anyone paying attention, and by this point, everyone was paying attention. The extended family stopped enabling her. When she'd invite people to gatherings, they'd ask if Emma was included. When the answer was no, they'd decline to attend. When she'd complain about feeling isolated from the family, people would point out that she was the one creating the isolation by excluding a child. My siblings maintained their stance. If Emma wasn't welcome, their kids wouldn't participate either. What had started as solidarity for one canceled party became a permanent boundary that fundamentally changed family dynamics. My mother lost most of her role as family matriarch. People stopped assuming she should host holidays, stopped deferring to her preferences for family gatherings, stopped treating her as the center of family social life. Instead, we started rotating hosting duties among the siblings, and Emma was included in everything. The irony was that in trying to exclude Emma from family gatherings, my mother had excluded herself instead. She'd chosen her discomfort with Emma's race over her relationships with her children and other grandchildren, and she'd lost those relationships as a result. Emma, meanwhile, flourished in the new family dynamic. Without the constant stress of wondering why Grandma didn't seem to like her as much as the other kids, she became more confident, more outgoing, more secure in her place in the family. Her cousins, who'd always loved her but hadn't understood the weird tension around family events, were thrilled to have her included in everything. Katie's oldest daughter, who was 9 at the time, asked me directly why Grandma used to leave Emma out of things. "I think Grandma was uncomfortable with differences," I told her honestly, "and that wasn't fair to Emma." "That's stupid," she said with the blunt honesty of childhood. "Emma's the most fun cousin we have." Out of the mouths of babes. It's been 3 years since the canceled party, and the family structure has settled into a new normal. My mother sees Emma occasionally, usually at large family gatherings where her behavior is being watched by multiple adults. She's polite but distant, treating Emma with the bare minimum of courtesy required to avoid public confrontation. Emma, who's now 10, has learned to navigate the relationship with age-appropriate awareness. She knows grandma doesn't favor her the way she favors the other grandkids, but she also knows that everyone else in the family loves her completely. She has strong relationships with her aunts and uncles, adores her cousins, and feels secure in her place in the extended family. Most importantly, she's learned that when someone treats you badly, there are people who will stand up for you. She's seen her mother, her aunts, her uncles, and her cousins all take stands on her behalf. She knows she's worth defending, worth including, worth fighting for. My mother learned something too, though I'm not sure she'd admit it. She learned that excluding people has consequences, that bigotry costs relationships, that family members will choose inclusion over comfort when forced to pick sides. She learned that being a grandmother is a privilege, not a right, and that privilege can be revoked when it's abused. The party that was supposed to celebrate all the grandchildren ended up teaching all of us what family really means. It's not about blood relationships or traditional hierarchies. It's about